Welcome back, everybody, to the Pat Flynn Show. We are joined once again by legendary strength coach Dan John, who is currently across the pond, as they say. I think you're doing a few workshops. Is that correct, Dan? What brings you over to England this time?
Well, this week and the next week, I'll be teaching at St. Mary's here, and the people love how I say the names of things. I thought it was called Twickenham. It's Twickenham, and Twickenham, which is just near Richmond, which is, of course, all in London. And then the Thames is literally, as we say here in England, right there. It's right there. You can see the Thames from my you want to look around?
Yeah, let's do. So for people who are just listening, Dan's going to give us a little tour of the country of England. So just
this is my bedroom, the Pope Pub here in Twickenham.
Ooh, lovely, lovely.
And this is my balcony, and these flowers came from my friend Val.
Very nice. Seems to be delicious weather there.
Right there. I hope I don't lose you.
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit, Dan.
You can hear me, Pat. Shoot.
There we go. You're back.
Okay, I have to kind of stand.
Yeah.
So there is the Memory Park right there, and that's a World War I guy in a statue, and it's a very beautiful little park. And then on the other side of it, can you hear me, Pat?
I can hear you. Yep, you're good.
Yeah. Can you see the Thames right there? That couple right there, right behind them.
Yes, indeed.
The river. And then the university is that way, and there's the street right there.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
And then there's my little happy fun space that I haven't really used as much as I usually use. And this is where I sit and
do the podcast. Look at that.
Well, that's where I ponder. This is where I work. You need to have your ponder area separated from your.
I agree. Compartmentalization is essential for productivity.
Yes, many people miss that. Yeah, it's great. In fact, this morning I taught a bunch of our students how to do the how I teach the Olympic snatch, and I'll probably be doing a lot of that in the next 2 weeks. It's funny. I'm going to do a whole. Probably I'm kind of inventing my own one kettlebell only thing, and. Speaking of, I'm drinking delicious black coffee, a very expensive brand called Kenco.
Oh, I was going to say, do they have the mountain grown stuff over there in England, Dan?
I don't know if this is mountain grown. It's smooth. It says they're right on the cover. It's well roasted, medium roast. I don't know. There's mountain on the back, so clearly mountain grown.
So yeah, let me just say, as always, Dan, a pleasure to have you joining us, even when you're on an international trip. Excited to hear more about the workshop here. But for gentle listeners, we are here to answer your fitness questions. So thanks for tuning in, and please submit whatever questions you have right now to the chat box. We will tend to those presently. So Dan, for the workshops and the lessons that you're doing right now, you just said that you just finished instructing the Olympic snatch. What else is on the agenda or the curriculum?
The teacher? Yeah, I'll go over the basics of my. Let me crank that door real quick. Hold on. I'll be going over the basics of my movement matrix. I read an idiotic article today on breaking muscle, and it just pissed me off, Pat.
Is that website still around? We both used to write for them years ago, and then they went crazy. I'm just going to say right now, I don't usually say too many bad things about bad organizations. It's just usually a waste of time. That organization screwed me in evil ways. So I have nothing but bad things to say about that. And you really got to piss Pat Flynn off for him to say bad things in public. So if they're still around, I hope they've cleaned up their room, so to speak.
I think the one guy told me he still wants to punch this other person in the face. It's bad. And well, the person, it was the article, they said that Dan John believes you should only do 5 movements. And then at the end of the article, it says, Dan also says you should do crawling and monkey bars. And it's like, what part of my work did you read? Obviously none of it. Basically it's like he doesn't, there's no anti-rotation work. If you look at my movement matrix and go 1, 2, 3, there's anti-rotation work. There's sprinting. There's hill climbs. So it frustrated me. And and I guess, I know I have an ego. I think we all do. But what bothered me the most was the lack of, okay, folks, I say this a lot, the lack of academic integrity to at least ask. He talks about how Delane Ross added rotation and anti-rotation. So I like Delane. She's a good friend, but she added anti-rotation.
That was it. Yeah.
I got these Soviet manuals on weightlifting with kettlebells, and they do a lot of that. I remember, God, well before, and I'm old enough to remember pre-Delane, and I remember us doing these exercises. The week I was born, the guy that wrote Bosco died, and he had those exercises. So this is another one of those time traveling. I'll stop. But
no, yeah, these are excellent points. But tell us more about your current movement matrix. We've talked about this before. I think it's a great framework for people to have. So where is what does it look like now? How are you going to be teaching it? Mm-hmm.
Well, it's never changed, brother. What I'll do is I'll cut and it's changed. I mean, it was funny. I did the thing, and one of the people said, "God, that changed." And I go, "How well do you know this thing?" And the guy kind of sent me. I kind of memorized it. It was kind of cute, really. I mean, to be honest with you. Can we post this up for us? Can we just post this picture up?
Yeah, send it in the private chat. I'll try and bring it up.
Folks, I'm sending him something in the private chat.
Yeah, this is the behind the scenes backstage secret chat.
Oh, how do I put that in there?
There should be a box there somewhere that you can just put a link. If it's a picture, you might not be able to upload it, but if you send me a link to it, I can try and pull it into the stream.
I don't have a link.
Then we'll put it in the show notes. How about that?
I will figure. Hell, what would it be? Okay, well, we will continue yakking while I do this thing that I invented called the internet.
Cool.
Why is this not working? So basically, the movement matrix is push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, just like this person said. And so good for them. Jolly good, as we say in the hood. Oh, images for Dan John's movement matrix.
There it is.
Don't you love the internet? It'd be nice if people gave me some credit.
I would imagine most people
have it's probably on Health Pottery Podcast. My good friends. Okay, this is James St. Pierre and Peter, Paul, Ringo, Luke, John. So I'm sending to another. Oh, sorry. Dumb. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm sorry it took so long, gentle listener.
It'll be worth it.
These are the guys I did last time. The last time I was online. The workshop last weekend. It was great to see everybody. So it's going to go push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry down the line on the left.
So yeah, check this out. I think I'll be able to keep talking, Dan. I think I'll be able to bring it onto the screen. Let's see here.
And on the top, it's basically planks, which are iso. There you go.
Can we see that? Perfect.
Yeah.
See, listeners, it'd be worth it. All right, Dan, talk us through this. So we have the visual on the screen. If you're listening on the podcast, we'll just put the link in the show notes later for you. So here we are.
Yeah. And then, so planks, which I believe in, I'm a big fan that, and this is an older one too. So this is okay. It'll work out just fine. But a plank in the push is a plank or push-up position planks. I now use the TRX or suspension trainer row as more of my plank test because it's a little bit easier for most people. But it's also an exercise I call bat wing, where you're type in Dan John bat wing, you'll find it. Glute bridge with ab hold for the hinge. Now the goblet squat is a moving plank, as is the and if you can't do a goblet squat, we regress down to the 6-point rock from Tim Anderson. And then for loaded carries, the farmer walk. And you're going to say, well, that's a walk, right? It's a moving plank. So if I'm going to work with somebody for the first time, I'm going to gas them with the farmer walk for work capacity. We're going to spend a lot of time. It's going to freak out their nervous system with the goblet squat. The glute bridge, as a lot of people found out this last weekend, is not just something that's like, oh, we did, when you put it into a workout, it is a bitch. And then the other two are just good, solid moves.
Sure.
Slide over, it becomes everyone will recognize the next one. That's basic strength training, hypertrophy work. If it's strength training, then basically I think you have 10 good reps in you. If it's hypertrophy, you probably want to do 15 to 30, 15 to 25. That's 3 sets of 8, 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 3. If I said 3 sets of 10, if I say we're going to do 3 sets of 8 in military press and 3 sets of 8 in a row machine thing, no one look at me and go, where did you come up with those numbers? My God. In the hinge, that would be rack deadlifts, hip thrust, though I would push the hip thrust numbers a little higher, but don't worry about it for right now. And the Bulgarian goat bag swing. And then in the squat world, any squat, though I'm a big fan of the double kettlebell squat, and that's why I pulled that one out. Because if you have 1,000 clients, 999 of them, the double kettlebell front squat gets 999 of them where they need to be with their fitness goals.
Right.
And then I walk in and you'll say, well, you have to overhead squat and front squat. Okay. And then on the loaded carry, prowers and sled pulls. The next one over is the anti-rotation world. I changed that. I used to call it something else. We're not going to worry about it. But the one-arm bench press, which is a magnificent throwing, kicking, striking exercise. And by the way, on the anti-rotation, you always let the side that has the least number of reps dictate the number of reps.
That's smart. I like that policy. Are you just typical dumbbell one-arm bench press here? Standard?
Kettlebell. So I expect...
You might use a kettlebell for that?
Yeah, I expect high school boys to do the 32 for 5 with both hands. But here's the key, Pat.
Yeah.
If I have a boy's benching 200 pounds and he's getting the 32 with his right arm for 10 and he gets the left arm for 10, for those who can't see me, basically what I'm trying to say is their right arm is bench pressing most of it. And so you're getting in that, you're feeding into asymmetry, which is why they start to miss out of nowhere, start missing reps because the weaker side is not up. One arm presses. And then the reason I bought the TRXs and suspension trainers, the single arm row, which I think is magnificent. I want your heels together. I want you to squeeze your knees together. I want to see no rotation. I want to see your chin, sternum, and zipper in a straight line and no falling away. And what's weird is when you see me do one-arm presses, you'll go, my God, Dan John is so much stronger in his right arm. When you see me doing the one-arm TRX row, you'll go, dear God, is he asymmetrical? His left side is so much better, which gives you some indication of the big problem. Now, the next one is going to be a little different. Anti-rotation work, and this becomes very subtle. I got hill sprints. And, oh, by the way, everything you see that's bold means you need no equipment to do it.
That's nice. That's a nice feature. Yeah.
If we were doing a workout today and you say bear hug, I would walk over and pick you up. So that we become each other's bear hug. Okay. One thing I want you to think about on this, these are the Hinge family. That's high knee work, skipping, bounding. I'm a big believer stadium steps and hill sprints. So what I do with young athletes especially is either 2 PVC pipes or 2 broomsticks. Might be a little heavy, but they'd be fine. And you hold them in the middle. And when you're doing your high knee marching in place, you hold those broomsticks. If you hit yourself in the face, you're rotating. You're doing something. There's something wrong. If I have you do a hill sprint and you sprint up the hill and you're slapping your face, it shows me that one of you got this, you're not symmetrical.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest way I've ever taught symmetry. And then the great insight of about 2 years ago is I was watching people do bear hug carries, and I realized that the best way to teach squats is to give them 145 kilo bag, 100-pound bag, squeeze it, walk with it, and then just yell out every so often, now squat it. Now squat it. And they'll squat perfectly every time because the big bag and walking, you get your monkey brain out of there.
Yeah, that's a great coaching
If I could do it all again, I wouldn't have invented the goblet squat. That's
The world would be without the goblet squat.
We would have just done the bear hug carry squat. Yeah.
Right. Well, what do you think about kind of just walking with the in the goblet position for a while? You think that's going to get you pretty close to that?
You're gonna get, in fact, I call that horn walks, and you'll notice in the first column it's there.
Yeah, let me squint. Oh, yes. That's true. It is there. By the way, are you okay, Dan, if I copy this image and put it in the show notes afterwards?
Yeah, me? People steal my intellectual property every hour on the hour. At least you asked. It was very nice of you.
Oh, don't worry. I'll make sure I take your name off of it, of course, and put mine on there. That
bless you and thank you.
Would be only the proper thing to do in the internet these days. So
here's the interesting thing. And then not long after, I'm watching people bear crawl. And I know those psycho trainers keep making people go. They put their toes under it. And I think, if you want to piss off Toomey, just say, we're doing kitty cat crawls. And he'd be like, what is this bullshit?
Kitty cat crawls.
And so what I notice is in bear crawls, people turn their toes out. People turn their hips out. And then it hit me. It's like, stop correcting them. The natural athlete is trying to tell you what they're telling you is what they're telling you is what. That the bear crawl is a squat.
Right.
The bear crawl is a squat. And, one of the things, and I know I can't say this enough, but if you have 10,000 athletes do a mistake and you keep correcting it, one of two things is going to happen. One, either you had 10,000 athletes do it wrong, or you could be wrong.
There's the hard truth. There it is.
And I'm Dan John, and I have been wrong. I'll tell you the last time I was wrong. Are you ready, Patrick? This is important.
1962.
Two.
All right, that's a year off, yeah.
And what happened is I thought I was wrong about something, but later it turned out I was right. But I still count it.
Hate when that happens, yeah.
The truth is, man, if you can't learn, you go to these certs and, God bless. I love the RKC during its heyday, and even I still do. But, you would get these people saying these absolutes, and they'd be like, really?
It's funny when I started to kind of check out, when I thought things started getting just a little bit too silly, it's funny that you mentioned the foot position, because I remember there was a period where like the thing that was being taught was that you had to swing with your feet straight ahead. Right? Like this was the thing for a while. Remember, you had to have your feet.
7 billion people on the planet Earth, and they all have the exact knee and hip and body structure.
Right. And there was some odd pseudo justification given for that. But at that point, I was just like, look, this is just getting silly at this point. Right.
Now, what's interesting.
Now, thankfully, that's been, I think, almost universally abandoned at this point. Yeah. But it was just funny to see how many people were just kind of like falling lockstep in with this sort of pseudo scientific nonsense, just because a certain few authority figures decided to just talk about it. You had all these people look like just these weird ducks doing the kettlebell swing, right? It's like, this is not a natural position. That's why I like your drill. Like, you want to find a good swing stance, just jump up and down 3 quick times. Chances are your toes are going to be somewhat, natural joint centration for the hip is I think around like 20 degrees of external rotation anyways, right? It's not feet straight ahead. That is not the natural athletic position for people, right?
If you want to get Jeff Hemingway to drop F-bombs, talk about it, the cert, where everyone got corrected for sitting. We don't have any chairs, so you have to sit on the ground. But you're not allowed to sit on the ground because no trainer would ever have, was it flexion in their spine? Whatever. So we all had to lay on the ground with our elbows in the prone position, like this, because that was better for the back. I just, some of the nonsense, and I'm not ripping on the people. You're trying to put something together. I follow along. So, real hard workout if you want to do it, folks. You and 2 friends get together, so a total of 3, and then one of you bear hugs one person, and then the other person bear crawls, and you walk. When you guys talk and say, "I'm tired," switch. "I'm tired," switch. "I'm tired," switch. It might be one of the hardest workouts I've ever had. Okay, sliding down anti-rotation in the loaded carry. The best one you can possibly do of those 3 loaded carries is a suitcase carry. I like men to do the rack carry because they hate it, and I like women to do the waiter walk because they hate it.
Yeah. Now, real quick, you have this bolded, which means you can do the suitcase carry without equipment. What is your idea there?
What could you carry possibly?
So a child,
How about a suitcase?
an actual suitcase. No, Dan, that's
So
unacceptable.
this time when I traveled, instead of taking the elevators into the Sky Club or up the hotels, I decided to carry my suitcase up and down the flights of stairs. And it was interesting because it reminded me of how I came up with the name Suitcase Carry, because it does. And Stu McGill went up and studied this, and he said that there's probably no better. There's a chance that simply walking and suitcase carries might be the 2 best things you do for your back.
Stu McGill says that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good world renowned spine doctor, if I remember rightly, right?
Mm-hmm. So now most people can stop right there. If we need to add speed, if you can handle the push, the pull, and the hinge, then I take you to and that would mean you show me that you can do anti-rotation work in all 3 of those. Then I might do the overhead ballistics. If you can do the pull, hinge, and squat, then we might introduce the swings. If you can do the hinge, squat, and loaded carry, then we might go into the lift and sprints or lift and arms. If you can handle the overhead ballistics and the swing, and we have time, I might teach you the squat snatch. If you can handle the swing and the lit vanovs or lift and runs, then we move into the clean and jerks.
Awesome.
Now here's the key. You look at this thing. This is not moral theology. Not one exercise there, Patrick, is better or worse, richer or poorer, sick or in health. These are the best athlete I'll ever work with. I might have a week or 2 a year where he does planks as a program. She does planks. Mm-hmm. The best athlete I ever work with might do 2 months easy strength of the second column.
Right. Right.
I might sprinkle in that easy strength every 3rd week might just be anti-rotation work.
Yes.
Maybe even Litvinovs. Then we might do something like the 10,000 swing challenge early in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that, maybe some of the listeners have been like, what the hell? And then we might do something really difficult like the 3-week Big 21 program. And with track and field, I do it now I used to put it in the preseason. Now I do it in the preseason and then in the early season. So my throwers are going to, especially the high school kids, are going to a track meet exhausted.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're snatching, clean and jerking, and clean and pressing 63 reps.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tuesday they're at a track meet. It's like, holy coach, man. And then they pop a lifetime best because we've turned them into a rubber band by training them so hard they relax and they snap the weight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, well, Dan, this is awesome. Thank you so much for giving us a sneak peek into your workshop here, streamed on the Pat Flynn Show. This is really cool stuff. I see a lot of good questions have already come in.
Sure.
So, is there anything else you want to say about this, Dan, or should we tend to the gentle listeners?
Yeah. If somebody ever says, gentle listener, that talks or says something about my work, and and they say something negative or that I missed a point, you can say, I don't really think you read everything Dan John has written on this subject. I don't think you know. Okay, the end.
So yeah, fair enough, right? Come to the Pat Flynn Show and get it straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. Hey. I see lots of great questions. Gentle listeners, do us a favor. If you're tuning in live, please share, please like, please subscribe. That always helps the show. And send your questions now because we're going to do our best to answer them. So let us turn now and see what we could do for all of you. Here's the first question. This comes from Lefteris. He says, I won't be able to make it live, so I'm going to leave my question here. To Pat and Dan, what is the exercise you have done most? in all your training years? So I guess just personally, if we mean like in terms of reps, I imagine it probably has to be the swing at this point, just in terms of sheer number of reps.
Your reps. Okay, okay. Well, all right. Okay, okay. Go with that. I would say yes when you're talking about sheer reps, but I mentally I went to this probably bench press the first 10 years of my lifting, and then probably the front squat since then.
Yeah. Yeah, like what have I featured most consistently in my programming throughout the years?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So I got those 35 years, almost 40 years of weightlifting before I did a kettlebell swing.
Yeah. So for me, it still might be swings. Definitely in reps, I think it's got to be swing, just because the swing just naturally lends itself to just being such a higher rep exercise. Even if it weren't in my programs as consistently as other exercises, it's just got to be swings. I've done more reps than anything else.
Yeah, load. Yeah. That's kind of a fun question, and actually made me do that thing called think.
Yeah, for me, it might a close second might be the basic push-up. Actually, just going back to my early Taekwondo years, I just got in the habit of just doing tons of push-ups every single day, right? And I still try to do lots of push-ups all the time. So.
You can go to my forum at davedraper.com. We have a whole thread called Swings and Push-Ups where we discuss all these different ideas of doing more swings and push-ups. And it's like, maybe. That's an interesting way to put that together. Young. Yes. Cheers.
Sorry, I had to mute my mic. Was trying not to sneeze in the microphone. Okay, Ryan has a question. He says, hello from Ottawa. Hello to you, Ryan. Good to have you here. He has two questions. One is, how do I develop rotational strength with kettlebells? And hold on. Gotta sneeze. Dan, take this one.
See the question. Two questions. How do I develop rotational strength with kettlebells? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. The swing is a ballistic hinge. The goblet squat's a squat. You don't want to build up rotation in the weight room. You want to build up anti-rotation in the weight room. As a discus thrower, I threw 10 to 15,000 times a year, probably more in the best years of my career. That's enough rotation. You really should focus on throwing on the other side. Suitcase carries probably, according to Stu McGill, probably are better for your rotation muscles than all the bullshit I see online. Will the Turkish getup lead to hypertrophy? Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give you two answers. Ready? No. But let me also say yes. Otto Arco, one of my good friends who was the model for Rodin's Thinker and all of Rodin's bodybuilding sculptures, the only exercise he did, because he only had one barbell, and once he deadlifted it and then pressed it and then did this, was the Turkish getup. So you can look pretty good. He weighed 60 kilos, 132 pounds, and I believe he did his training with like 150 or 160 pound barbell, fixed weight barbell. So if all you do is Turkish getups with well over your body weight, it will make you look good enough that a sculptor will, and you have the DNA. So the answer is no in the way we talk about it now, but yes, if you were to take it seriously. My thought is, do you really want that load over your face? And it's weird to say this, but if you're going to go heavy, I think a barbell, a fixed weight barbell, so the weights aren't coming off, is probably safer than a kettlebell or a dumbbell.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because if you screw up, the weight's going to hit the floor here and then over there. It's not going to hit your brain. Folks, I hit my head about, was it 2 weeks ago, a week ago? Oh, it was this morning. Wait, hey, Pat, when do we start this? And I got to tell you, folks, I have taken a discus across the skull. I have multiple concussions from football. I should have died from the discus, but God wanted me to help Pat Flynn.
So
I've had a lot of real serious concussions in my life. I know the damage it does to you. I'm working with one of my, I wouldn't say he's a client. Well, I wouldn't even want to say I'm his life coach, but someone I'm reaching out to is dealing with long-term concussion issues from the military, and to watch the sadness of it, folks. There are better.
Protect your head.
Yeah, there are better tools. There are better tools. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is a theme we return to, right? Like, just because you can, is it something you should do, or is it the best way to get it done? And if you're just looking to put on muscle, I can think of a lot better ways to do it than to try and force it with get-ups. Could you do it with get-ups? Yes, but like just work presses, military presses, and dips and stuff like that, and the tools that will help facilitate that goal in a much more efficient fashion and come with far less training risk than keep pushing the get up and up and up for the hypertrophy range. So,
I would say, okay, here's a safer way to do things. I follow Brett Contreras' work. It looks to me like if you want to look at the beach, freakishly do hip thrusts and chin and dip. Hold on.
Chin and dips are a great combo.
Dips hurt adolescents' sternums. Chins hurts some people's elbows. Hip thrusts make well, I like to do them with no one around. Everything has an asterisk.
Right. Here's a great question, a very interesting one. Ricky says, first off, he says, whenever Pat and Dan talk, I listen. Well, thank you, Ricky. Really appreciate that. But he says his question is this: what is the heaviest kettlebell weight to use for swings? So I think he's kind of asking for a threshold, Dan. Is there sort of a ceiling or an upper limit that you would say, yeah, once you're kind of here with swings, maybe we should think about moving on to a different exercise or something like that?
Yeah. And so I still think the 20 and the 24 are the best for men. Ricky, don't lose that number. Sorry, a little 70s humor. So I still, because I'm still such a believer that the 15 to 35ish range is the best for most needs. So 15 swings, 500 swings for 20 days, a 10,000 swing with the 24, magic's going to happen. Having said that, I like the 48 to teach an adult male how to actually plank and lock down. A male can still dink around with the 20 and 24. I start to think, so as a teaching training tool, the 48, okay? I get very little after the 32. The 32 beats the living hell out of me. So this week, your protein, veggies, and water is the 24 kilo bell for men, the 16 for women. The 48 is the spice, the hot sauce, and the 32 would be the carbs. Okay, and okay. I mean, I think that's not a bad way to explain it.
Right? Yeah, it's a serviceable analogy, to say the least.
Yeah.
And no, I like that. For me, I think between 20 and 32 is like the sweet spot for most average sized dudes for swings. Once I go over the 32 with swings, I typically just feel inclined to go pick up a barbell, honestly, at that point, and just do heavier deadlifts. But with the 32, what's nice is it's a good amount of load, but you can still stay really snappy with it, and it's not so heavy that it begins to, at least for somebody like me, who has like the body fat of a leaf, right? It doesn't totally distort my swing mechanics. If I start swinging a 48, just because it's such a higher percentage compared to my overall body weight, I do have to start to tilt the shins forward and start to get just by the demands of physics, right? It starts to become less hingy just because of the relative weight of the kettlebell to my body weight size. I don't think it's still like a very challenging weight, but the mechanics differ with a 48 kilogram in a way that I can stay very consistent mechanically with a 32 kilogram, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Hear, cheer. Absolutely. Yeah. So, Ricky, on a question like that, my first thing I usually want to do is say, it depends. But I'm trying to get away from that. But walk with me down the road of it depends a little bit more. So neither of us said, oh, this is the perfect weight. But there's a bit of layering into this. And when Patrick said time to move to the barbell, yeah, when I see someone bragging online about their 48 kilo kettlebell deadlift, no one ever has. That was kind of a joke. I think you're missing the point of how to appropriately use the kettlebell in your training toolkit.
Right. Next question from Kirill. He wants to know, what would a hypertrophy program look like with kettlebells and body weight? Maybe you could help sketch something out there, Dan, and recommend a few of your programs.
Yeah, just, geez, I mean, I don't know how much I have to beat this drum. Boom, 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 boom. Bum, 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 bum. Go to danjohnuniversity.com and press the button that says Kettlebell Hypertrophy Program.
Done. Simple. Here's a question from, and Kirill, please take advantage of that. It's a great resource over there. And just you got the right idea there. You're going to push the reps up a little bit higher, increase the volume, but basic like programming principles are programming principles, right? So they're going to apply regardless of the instrument, right? Principles don't necessarily change because of the instrument. Otherwise, they aren't principles, right?
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I had a guy ask me, he goes, he's done kettlebell easy strength two or three straight times, but now he wants more hypertrophy. And he said, I knocked my reps up to 3 sets of 8, week 1, 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 8, week 1, 3 sets of 10, week 2, 3 sets of 12, week 3. And he's doing vertical press, the press. He's doing a pull-up, but that's a different set of numbers, so don't worry about that too much. Goblet squat or double goblet squat. Swings, and then like farmer walks. And I'm like, so that's your answer right there. And that's basically what we.
Yeah. Kirill has a kind comment here. He says, this podcast brings joy to my heart. Well, we are very happy to hear that. And we deeply appreciate you tuning in, Kirill. Thanks for being here as always. And the good questions. Here's a question from the Queen Marshmallow. Very fun screen name. I like that. Queen Marshmallow says, hello, I am new to this channel as well to fitness. I hope this isn't a silly question, but how do you work up to a push-up when you keep collapsing when trying to push up again? Not a silly question at all. In fact, it's a pretty common one. So Dan, what do you recommend in terms of push-up progressions for somebody who isn't quite there at 1 rep?
Well, I'm a huge believer in the push-up position plank. And I would try to spend my time, I'd like you to build up to a 2-minute one. And until you build up that 2-minute push-up position plank, so heels together, squeeze your knees together. We call that Utah birth control. Squeeze your armpits together. And I always joke, if there was grapes up there, you'd make armpit wine, which is just a delightful thought to me. And grab the ground, grip and rip.
Better than toilet wine.
Yeah. Well, my years in prison, I learned it both. And just build up to 2 minutes. And the one thing I wouldn't want you to do is keep experimenting with the push-up after you build up to 2 minutes. And and the nice thing is there's a great workout for you. You do a push-up position plank for 15 seconds. Well, now next one is, 20. Well, that's, 45 seconds. You're building up to 2 minutes. And then after that, I wouldn't mind if you did some negative push-ups for a while.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of those darn negatives. And
that means just lowering slowly from the plank position, right? Mm-hmm.
And then hit the ground, and then slide up to your knees, push yourself up, drop again. And again, don't, I bet if every day for 40 days, 30 days, 1 day, you just did that 2-minute total thing. And then when you did that, that'd be a tough workout. I would say maybe more like a minute of ISOs. So I'm going down 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005. Now I have 55 more seconds of ISOs. That's a lot of work. That might be too much. 30 seconds maybe, huh? So there's my.
Yeah. So let's summarize. Own the plank. The push-up position plank is a great starting point. Get strong, get structured, get organized there. Then start to work in negative reps where you slowly lower yourself to the ground. Once that starts to feel, once you start to feel pretty confident with that, which might happen sooner than you think, I even recommend just start working in partial reps on your way back up. Lower down a little bit, push yourself back up, kind of find that successful range. And then what you'll find is over time, you'll be able to get lower and lower with that. Dan, I think we're probably in agreement with this is, yeah, I don't like experimenting with all the different push-up variations. I think specificity matters. Get into the plank position, try and mimic the exercise as best as you can, which is why I think negatives are really your best bet. The negatives and then just the increasing the partial rep range of motion over time, I think is going to be your quickest path to getting that first solid rep in.
I don't disagree with you. I had a throws coach one time. Very interesting idea. You stand up next to a wall, push-up position against a wall, and you push yourself violently off the wall so you can practice that finish. Of course, I'm a right-handed throw, but and then you would move over time to a higher thing. But here's the thing: it's whack. It's a throw, and maybe even go down to 2 chairs.
Right.
If I would prefer someone do those explosive, I hate to call them plyometrics, but that would be instead of doing like on the knee.
Oh yeah, I agree. If you're gonna do anything else in terms of progressions, manipulate the angle by raising your hands rather than going to your knees or putting your elbows out. Right. We want the mechanics to be as close to a high quality standard push-up as possible throughout. So on top of what we just said, if you need to something a little bit further, I think that's a great recommendation, right? Just get the hands up on some steps or some chairs or something like that. Avoid messing around with, the elbows flaring out or going to your knees or something like that. Yeah.
I agree.
Excellent. Good questions. Here you go, Dan. About the hip thrust, David wants to know, how would you have clients do hip thrusts in a group training setup? I have women swinging 44 to 70-pound kettlebells, so I don't think body weight.
Oh, no. David, I don't wish to disagree with you, but I disagree with you. I do this workout called 30-30 for 30, and we have hip thrusts, bare naked, no weight hip thrusts, or glute bridges. And the feedback I get is that it's a suck fest. Partially because you have to get down up and down off the ground, but there is great value in doing that pumping body weight hip thrust. I never use barbells. And as a follow-up, I'm sorry, Patrick, do you have a technique for creating load without using a barbell? I have both of Brett's hip thrusts. I have the big one from Sornex, and then I got the one called Light, L-I-T-E.
He's talking about specific creating a load with the hip thrust without a barbell. Just to clarify the listeners. Yeah.
I use bands. I prefer bands. I think it's a faster setup. And I also like the way it's so when I hit the top with bands, the bands want to return. I know you're going to say, well, isn't gravity kicking in? The bands actively want to return. I get a much better finish with bands. You could probably, it would be kind of an interesting thing. You could put little hooks on the ground and put bands. Just make it up.
Mm-hmm. Good. Let me just say in general that I think that as just because you've gotten strong with some piece of external resistance, that doesn't mean that just working with your own body weight suddenly isn't valuable anymore. I do body weight training still all the time with no external load. And I'm pretty strong with external loads and a lot of other exercises. And to me, they're just deeply complementary to one another. So yeah, it sounds like you have some really strong women in your class. That's great. But I would still think like with Dan, the body weight hip thrusts are still going to be very valuable, even if they have strong swings already. Yep.
Yeah. If you do floor hip thrusts, unweighted, kind of supersetted, with kettlebell swings with that 70-pound load, something interesting is going to happen. What? I don't know.
But it will be interesting. Ricky has a question for us about diet. Dan, he says, can you tell us what you eat in a day that correlates with your fitness goals?
I eat 8 different vegetables every day, even when I'm in London. Generally, I like to eat kimchi and sauerkraut on top, so they don't. Because I'm in a hotel for a couple weeks, I went to a little store and I bought gut powered. This is a probiotic, and they had another word for it. Sometimes, folks, I don't understand what they're saying here to me. Like, learn to speak American. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I just heard that Burger King in Australia is called Hungry Jack.
Yeah, shocking.
Right.
So, yeah,
unacceptable.
If you go to danjohnuniversity.com, I give you exactly what I do, but that would be you'd have to actually type in. But basically, breakfast. Mike Brown and I very often will just eat salad for breakfast when we go out, which freaks people out when you order it. It's like, salad for breakfast? Yeah, well.
I take raw vitamins for breakfast, Dan.
And then I have a gut biome break twice a day, where at home I eat kimchi and then something else. Delicious, but that's me. And then dinner is also, I try, and Thomas, who cooks for me, he says, he's always trying to get vegetables in there. So.
Right. Yeah, good. So my diet is pretty much as it has been for the past 15 years, more or less, right? Which, if nothing else, says that there's at least something sustainable about it, right? So I engage in some amount of fasting, and that is more or less frequent throughout the year. But usually I have at least 2 days of an extended fast. And by extended fast, that could just mean skipping breakfast, like not eating until lunch. So Wednesday and Friday tend to be more deprivation-based days. Like, I eat less on Wednesday and Friday. And then, so let me describe it this way. I think this is, as a general rule, it's good to have calorie swings in your diet. If you're just trying to drive calories down all the time, you're going to burn out. You're going to crash, right? But the research affirms this. There was a recent study that came out in 2019 that compared two groups, and it showed that a group that had 5 days where things were a bit tighter calorically, with 2 days of what we might call a strategic refeed, did better overall and had less metabolic slowdown than a group that just had 7 straight days of restrictions, right? So having the caloric swings is beneficial in the long term, not just for fat loss, but preventing metabolic downshifting and stuff like that. Like, this is definitely there in the research. It isn't just bro science anymore, but it was this thing that was kind of like bro science, where like bodybuilders always had their refeed days, but the research is actually showing no, there's good stuff here. So I do something like that. I have 2 days, Wednesday and Friday, which are definitely more that are definitely lower calorically. I fast more, and I also eat less those days. Saturday and Sunday I boost calories. When I boost calories, I don't mean I eat like a hog or a pig. I just eat more overall, usually still good stuff. I eat foods that are high in protein, fiber, close to nature, minimally processed. This morning, I'm actually pretty fasted this morning. I had a little square, this little trick of mine, after I take vitamins in the morning, right? So I had a little square of just like super dark chocolate, like no sugar in it, with a little bit of almond butter on it. So I take all my vitamins, I have my fish oil, and just so I don't throw up, I have the little piece of chocolate with almond butter on there, right? And then I'm fasted. I'll go work out after this, and then I'll have a protein shake. So I use protein shakes a lot. I have been for many years. They keep hunger down, they keep protein up, they keep calories managed and measured. And then for dinner, just a healthy, normal dinner, vegetables, quality fats, quality protein. And then I don't act like a crazy person when holidays or special occasions come up, and I enjoy, the indulgences reasonably, as I think every person should. And that has been a very successful and sustainable way for me, a former fat person, to eat and still meet the demands of performance in the gym while keeping my body composition where I want it to be. So there you have it.
That's excellent. I just finished Rusty Moore's Virtual Impact Fat Loss Boost. 2 weeks of 3 chicken breasts a day and all the veggies you can shovel down. Pretty restrictive, and no calories in drinks. Okay. I got down to, what was it, 218, carved up. Next day my weight was up. Next day my weight was 217.
Yeah. Now, let me say one thing, because you said no calories in drinks. It'll be like, well, Pat drinks protein shakes. Obviously, I have to say this again. We talked about this before. There is a relevant difference between a Pepsi and a milkshake and a shake that you make at home that has 40 grams of whey protein, fruits, vegetables, and some healthy fat, right? And
True that.
these things are relevantly yes, they are. One is liquefied, right? No doubt, blended, right? When we say get rid of liquid calories, we mean soda, the juices, the
Beer.
milkshakes, beer,
Beer, wine.
beer, right? Yeah, it's one of those simple rules. In fact, that was one of the simple rules that I first made when I was first trying to lose weight. I didn't really know what else to do. I didn't know what the best diet was, but I kicked soda. I just kicked soda. And not only did that help a ton with weight loss, but one of the biggest things is that when I grew up, I drank a lot of soda. And as a kid, I had a ton of cavities. Now I haven't had any issues with my teeth since I was a kid. And just getting rid of the soda and the sugar, aside from the weight loss benefits, has just it makes a difference, friends, for health overall, including dental health. So let that be known.
2 things about protein drinks for me. This is that your mileage may vary thing. Protein drinks get me hungry. And I think it's caused by doing the velocity diet where I just had 6 protein shakes a day for 28 days. And I think,
which is just bonkers to me. Yeah, but
I think protein shakes trigger something I can't really. This part
they bring you back to a traumatic experience.
Yeah, this part of my brain goes, it's a protein shake. Somewhere back there, it's like, not again. God damn, no, please, God, no. So your mileage may vary. All right.
Yeti says, hello, Dan. Can I get away with working with kettlebells and isometrics to gain the benefits of Olympic lifting? Yeah. Also, what is the best way to learn the Olympic lifts?
Come out this week to St. Mary's. I'm doing it practically every day, and I'm happy to teach you. The best way to learn is the way I learn. You go into a gym, you meet a Olympic smelly old person like me and say, show me. I think that's still the best way. I think it helps. I mean, you can go online, but I still think it's best to have that in person.
MTLK77 says, does sauna have the same nervous system calming effect as ice baths with breathing practice? I know you've mentioned them being similar for fat loss. I just got to plead ignorance on this stuff. I have no idea.
What brings about relief with the ice baths and ice showers, and I'll be taking one in a moment. Gentle listener, if you're in the room with me, you would be like, please, take a shower. I had a real long workout. I've walked 6 miles today. I taught. I smell. What the effects of cold? Yes, it does upgrade. It makes your brown fat move and all that stuff and all that. And of course, if you stay calm in there and you do the breathing, it's getting out that you get the benefits of. With a hot tub, it's the hot tub you're getting the benefits of. With saunas, there is a stress adaptation with some proteins that is the exact same as ice, but it has to be pretty hot to do that. So the answer would be, they're the same. It's timing. So the relaxation is just a timing issue. With a hot tub, you are relaxing. If you go into a hot tub with a bottle of scotch and drink it down, you'll be very... Oh, sorry about that. I apologize.
No worries. All right, next, let's... here we go. This question comes from Hanuman.
Oh, Hanuman.
Hanuman. And
from
he says,
the Veda, yes.
And he says, hello from France. I love your work and generosity, Dan. If I may, I'd love to have your thoughts on my program, which is the rite of passage 3 times a week swing. Rite of passage 3 times a week, but replacing swings and snatches with double kettlebell cleans, a 16 and 18 kilogram.
Probably a more reasonable thing than some of the stuff I've seen about rite of passage. I actually like this idea. The swings and the snatches were supposed to get your engine burning. But I tell you this, Hanuman, if you do that program and then go for a walk after those double cleans, you'll get all the benefits of vomiting after the snatch workout.
Jay says, good evening from Vietnam. Always great to hear from so many international listeners. As we say, the Pat Flynn Show is internationally known. And in fact, Dan John is streaming in internationally right now. Anyway, he's having his Diet Coke. Cheers. And he says, what do you think about the suitcase deadlift as a substitute to one-hand swing?
I like the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to us about this, Dan.
Yeah, I think that's. And then he mentions, Jay mentions that he's got a bit of an injury. And, when you're working around an injury, you're working around an injury. My concern would be if you do a lot of suitcase carries and the one hand swings with the right hand over a couple of weeks, you'll start making circles. You'll be so overdeveloped on one side, you won't be walking straight line anymore. Okay, that was humor.
And it was good.
Yeah. Do your best to train around the injury. If you can front squat, I always found front squatting is great for for hand, wrist, elbow injuries.
Great. Let me just highlight this real quick. Phoenix Coaching and Performance says, thank you both for what you do. Your conversations are high points in my week, and I incorporate many of your philosophies with my clients. So happy to hear that, Phoenix Coaching and Performance. We appreciate you listening to the podcast and are glad that our ideas are able to serve you and your clients.
Oh, hang on one time. We got a question from a Joseph Wade.
Let me find it.
He always, it's just above Phoenix Coaching. Joseph Wade, the gentle listener, gets everything I've ever done for free. He is a Dan John black belt. There's very, very few of them in the world. Lacey's one, Taylor's another.
Does a Dan John black belt mean you get the black polo shirt? Because if so, I'm interested.
Well, and the reason Lonnie is Lonnie's the last person to talk with my father. So Lonnie is a dear friend of mine, grew up with my nieces, and is now an outstanding coach up at North Country Union High School in, I think it's in Derby or Derby Line. I know a lot of people are probably screaming at the mic right now, Derby or what correcting me. Mm-hmm. I meant to ask you last time we talked about the Hex Bar Deadlift. What are your thoughts on how to do it properly? Don't do it the way people do it. That would be number one. I decide don't do that drooping leg. Can you still hear me, Pat?
Yeah, you're getting a little choppy, but I think you'll zoom back in here in a second.
All I'm going to ask, big chest, hand straight, hinge, finish the lockout. I would even suggest with the Hex Bar, if appropriate, on every rep with a deadlift, take a step forward, take a step back, put the weight down. Step up, deadlift, step forward, maybe alternate legs if you'd like. It doesn't really matter to me. Mm-hmm. Step forward, step back to ensure that you are locked and blocked. Okay?
Right. So I can hear you, Dan, but your face is frozen. So
yeah,
that's all right. It's frozen in a good spot. So
thank God I'm not picking my nose. Okay.
So we can, let's get one more in here. I want to bring in our buddy Edric. Edric's a good friend of mine, and he's got a good question. He says, "Is being in a calorie deficit bad for your hormones?" He recently heard a podcast that talked about that. So he's got two questions. Second one is, it also mentioned workouts with little rest during the workout is not beneficial for male hormones. Any truth in that? Let me say a couple things first before I turn it over to Dan. There's just a lot that is said about hormones that I think is based on wild speculation. So just let that be known in general. However, I will say that there's good evidence to say that if you're trying to lose weight, being in a long-term calorie deficit is at least not optimal for the reasons that we talked about before. Is we have good research now to show that having a calorie swing does seem to be better hormonally and in terms of sustainable fat loss and to prevent metabolic downshifting than just perpetually keeping the restrictions in place. So whether it's long-term and quote unquote bad for you, we can leave that open and just say it's definitely not as optimal. There's better approaches that I think will make you better off physiologically and psychologically just by swinging the calories. And a simple way to do that is just 5 days. You have your kind of typical standard restrictions in place, and then 2 days. The study that I'm talking about, that I've talked about before in this podcast, you can find specific episodes where I actually talk through the study, was 2 consecutive days of boosted calories. So it wasn't just one strategic refeed day, but 2 days after the 5 days of initial restriction. So, Dan, you're still frozen. I can't see you, but I think you're still coming through on the audio.
I am nodding along. So before the internet, not long before the internet, a magazine came out called Muscle Media 2000. And I'm actually thinking about rebuying them all through eBay because it was that good of a magazine. It only lasted about 12 issues, and then it became teenage. Okay. Oh, did you lose me?
You're back. Yeah. So we heard you say T Nation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mario Di Pasquale came up with, I think, one of the best power athlete diets in history. 5 days of it, close to zero carbs as you can do. I mean, what, steak and eggs for breakfast, salmon and whatever else you're going to eat with salmon, and then steak for whatever. Zero carbs. Obviously, an intelligent vegetable selection would be fine too. 5 days, zero carbs. And then Friday night, carb fest. Saturday, and by the way, my athletes did pizza and beer and pancakes. I didn't say that is this the healthiest thing, but it didn't matter because we're throwers. Now, if you can compete on the 5th day or have the hardest workout on the 5th day. Lyle McDonald would call this the cyclical ketogenic dieting. I have never found, the thing that really turned me on about this was the obvious how you were manipulating your hormones. Later, they all got all soft and they started doing a carb fest on Wednesday night too. Just do the damn thing as described. Let me tell you, if you're going to do this, I would suggest something like easy strength, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, while you're zero carbing, and then Friday be that workout. It might be, if you're easy strength, that would be the heaviest Olympic lifting workout, and then a long walk, hike. So when you get home and you open the door and there's pizza and there's beer, you show up and he goes, "Where's my pizza? I hate everybody." 28 minutes later, you're like, "I love you so much, Pat. I just love you, Pat Flip. I love you." And you have a chance. And that night, now here's the interesting thing, and this is the feedback I got from every athlete. Your digestion was the worst on the carb.
Mm-hmm.
Could be because we ate crap, and I don't see that's a problem. Because by the time Sunday rolled around, you were ready to stop eating the crap.
I just, real quick, I just linked the study that I mentioned for anyone to check out. The title is Intermittent Energy Restriction Attenuates the Loss of Fat-Free Mass in Resistance-Trained Individuals, a randomized control trial. So it was published March 2020. So it's a fairly recent one, and you will see the comparison between the continuous restriction group and the refeed group. And it was, just to give some quick specifics, it was one group that had a 25% restriction straight through, and another group that actually had an even steeper restriction, 5 days, a 35% restriction, but then went back up to 100% on Saturday and Sunday. And what we found were there was greater overall benefits and preservation of the fat-free mass, the muscle mass, in the group that had this cyclical approach. So prevented metabolic downshifting. Both were effective for fat loss. And the group that did the strategic refeeds and the cyclical diet had better retention of the lean muscle mass, the fat-free mass. So it's like just kind of wins all around, if you will. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that something? So, wow, Dan, you're still frozen, but we can still hear you.
Okay, one quick thing. Edric, you asked a question about discus throwing. Go to danjohn.net, click discus throw, and then you'll find my book. Lonnie's part of that book too, you stud. On contrarian approach to discus. I can't do any better than that. I mean, I've obviously adapted some things, but that's my best work.
Excellent. So, Dan, before we go, let everyone know what's coming down the pipeline at Dan John University and all that good stuff.
Sure. I'm thinking it might not work on the videos, but I'll do my best. I'm going to have another free course coming out, Easy Strength for Fat Loss. I'm gonna put that together for the members, and then I have another Easy Strength course, a more advanced course coming out. Just a couple of weeks, I think. My end's all done. Poor Brian has to deal with my ugly ass face. So, but one other thing, Friday when my American friends and brothers and sisters wake up, I will have competed in my next Olympic lifting meet, and
very cool.
And then Friday night is our big party here at Twickenham. And then write this down, gentle listeners. On Saturday, it's the 64th anniversary, and this is big, of my birth.
Write it down. Do not forget.
Yes, so I'm very excited to have done absolutely nothing.
Will you be celebrating? When do you get back to the States?
September 6th.
Okay, all right. So you're gone for a little bit then. So this will be an international. This will be an international celebration. Very
cool. And then on the 7th, I will be jet lagged, baby. Okay.
Well, happy early birthday, Dan. This is wonderful, and we'll definitely be talking about your how the competition next week. If you are still good for the podcast during your busy travel schedule.
Let me just see if we have. Give me about a second just to see. Gentle listeners, stay on. Don't go anywhere. The 31st of August. Yeah, and guess what? Right after this talk, I march over and I give that's the 31st of August, right?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, I give a lecture so I'll finish here, I'll pop up and then walk over and I'll have my students. It'll be good because I'll be warmed up to talk by then. Okay?
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Dan, John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
I'm begging you to remind me, though, Pat. I'm begging you.
You know I will. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will catch you next time here on the Pat Flynn Show. Thank you much. Adios.